Hello, everyone. Welcome to Save the Game Media's Save the Game Boy. And we all know that today was an epic day where we got to watch Nintendo's Direct about the Switch 2. So, welcome to my Nintendo Joe. And we're going to talk about this a lot today and over the next couple weeks. I want to do a deep dive into a lot of different subjects so that we can better and further understand what's going on with Nintendo, what's inside their head, and what we can potentially look forward to for the future. Today, I want to touch base on technical aspects and maybe look at a little bit more into the features of the system. We all know that we saw a good chunk of stuff today with the C button, the group chatting, with Nintendo figuring out what Discord actually is and integrating their own variant of that in one way or another, bringing back a wonderful old setup from the Wii U. We have a lovely dead device that is giving us something back in the form of a Switch 2, which I honestly believe that the Wii U was the precursor to the Switch because people enjoyed seeing a screen with a controller, and then they thought, why don't we take this controller off? But let me digress on that for now. I want to go over some specs too on the Switch. Now, we know right here at the start, we know the size and thickness. We're getting a bigger screen. We're getting the same thickness in the shell of the Switch, which is phenomenal in terms of engineering and modifications of how they were able to move all of these pieces together cohesively in a nice ergonomic shape, size, and factor in cooling to go with all of this. Now, cooling is going to be a factor, and I'm going to touch base on that when I get into the specs of the dock. But right now, looking at a screen this size, running these kinds of games in this caliber, normally you'd see something heat up immensely. I know with my phone, when I played Marvel Contest of Champions nearly religiously in the 10 years that I played, my phone would get super hot in long formats of play. But each phone that I got, it got a little bit cooler with how technology advanced. Weight, a pound, a single 1.18 pounds with two Joy-Con controllers attached is going to make this thing incredibly lightweight. So get yourself a case for this, because the lighter you have something in your hands, the easier this is going to be to drop. And we know with millions of units ready for pre-order, ready for sale, it's going to be super hard to find fixes for this in the next year. Keep it protected, keep yourself safe. We have a capacitive touchscreen, so that's going to be nice with the fingertips. 7.9-inch LCD screen. We knew this was going to be an LCD screen because of how Nintendo wanted to keep the cost down. It also allows them to launch an OLED model in about 5 years. 1080p base screen with HDR10 support is great with coloring, gamma production, and we're going to have so much vivid brightness on this screen that it's not really going to make that much of an issue to you to have an LCD or an OLED at this moment in time. Custom processor made by NVIDIA. I'm a little disappointed that it's not an AMD chip, but I understand NVIDIA won out on this, and I'm holding them to the highest standards that they've had over the years of making graphical processors and processors for gaming companies. So I'm keeping a watchful eye on this and how this is going to function. 256 gigs on the storage. We are taking a gigantic leap in internal storage for the Switch. Now, this is a double-edged sword. We saw that we have red cartridges. The red cartridges are explained as a key. This is an ISO file loaded onto a cartridge. Right now, there's no guarantee that there's a game file on there. Nintendo had stated in a couple of the small asterisks, if you missed that you need an active internet connection to download the game. Does that particularly mean we don't have access to the game if we don't have internet? And we have to have an active internet connection to download and install the game the first time. After that, we still need our key, our ISO file, to unlock that file. Now, I know Kyle is excited about this part because I talked about it in the Discord for a little bit. A nice, big jumble of word text. But the TLDR on that is this is a huge anti-piracy measure. to touch base with what I saw on the Discord. If you're not part of our Discord yet, join it. I'm in there. We're all in there, all of our hosts, and we're able to converse with everybody at almost a moment's notice. We all work. Life gets in the way, but we will always be there to answer your questions and give you the answers that we best see fit for ourselves. I mean, that sounds kind of sketchy, but it's the knowledge I have, the knowledge we all have that we can share, that give you the best answer we can give. I want to touch base with what I talked about in Discord with Yuzu. Nintendo believes Yuzu is a dirty word. A lot of people believe emulation is a dirty word. I, for one, am pro-emulator. I didn't get a Switch until recently because of my son's accident. I got him the Switch to help cheer him up because he wasn't doing so well emotionally. And getting him the Switch was kind of like when I got a new game or a new system when I was a kid when something bad happened. So it's a little bit of a tradition when you have a tragedy, we get something to take our mind off of it. But years ago, I used Yuzu and a couple different websites to find and figure out how to get it to properly install without owning a Switch. One of the things Yuzu wanted you to do was to teach you how to jailbreak the Switch so that you could offload the data yourself, knowing that you own a Switch, you own the games that you're data mining, and you're loading into an ISO file on the computer, and you're able to get the encryption key from the system, which, after every major update, would put in all the new titles in just that subsect of data. It was just there to load a game, to load the library of games. So you had to have Yuzu, you had to create a repository to put this particular file in, which would then double check what game you're loading and if your system was allowed to load that. This is an anti-piracy measure, also a checking measure to push out illegal games. People modifying Pokemon games to have better chances, or just how you mod and change ROMs. This measure here with the red cartridges scares me a little bit in how it's going to function with the resale market. I know emulation is going to tank immediately. Like, this isn't something that I believe the community is going to figure out within a month or two. I think this is going to take a lot longer, especially with how the Switch ecosystem is going to function. If these cartridges truly are just an ISO loader, and we're downloading the full information of the game, that's a game changer, because we're going to have to, with emulation, we would need to create a separate repository that would just be for these Switch keys, these ISO files. That would then load into a separate folder for your emulated ROMs. But would the ROMs need to be individualized and folderized, which I like the organization, so that doesn't bother me. Bothers some people. But this is something different that Nintendo is working on to battle piracy. And we all know how hard they crack down on pirates. So I don't know. I'm on the fence about it, but I like the internal storage. I like what we're going to be using. It's 256, and a portion of the storage is reserved for use on the system, which means probably about 30 gigs is taken away. So you got about 200 gigs on there to load games, which, for what we're looking at right now, probably get you a good chunk of games in there. Wi-Fi 6 for the LAN with Bluetooth. I'm disappointed they didn't put the Bluetooth protocol in here to see what variant or what level of Bluetooth that we're working with. But that's negligible because it's just going to be what Nintendo wants us to do. Do we need to get a dongle that has Bluetooth 5 or 6.0 that allows us to use our own headsets? Or is it already going to be integrated into the system so that we can use whatever headset we want? Because as gamers, we don't want to be locked to one particular headset for that system unless it's top-notch. Like, I'm looking at Sony. Sony makes phenomenal headsets, and I know PlayStation Sam can talk about that a lot. Xbox, I don't think they have headsets other than when they included the really tiny little one ear, one out for the Xbox 360. And in TV mode, it can be connected with wired LAN. Now, I had one of these for my Wii. I had one of these for my Wii U. This is a LAN adapter. This was a $30 accessory that gave you an Ethernet port than USB. I still haven't hooked up to my Switch upstairs, but now I'm glad with this new dock that we're getting a LAN and Ethernet port built in. So you don't have to worry. Hook this thing up to your Switch or your modem, and by Switch I mean electronic Switch, not Nintendo Switch. But you still want to do Switch modem. Little computer joke for anyone who wants to get that. I'm excited that they're including this natively, meaning we don't need to buy another accessory, which, my gosh, there's so many already, and it's not even out yet. Audio output, it's standard across the board with any kind of handheld. 5.1 channel audio, which is great coming out of something like that. Surround sound effect is applied automatically. Applied when outputting to headphones or to the built-in speaker. It requires an update, obviously, but does this mean, like, we saw what we're getting? We're getting immersive 5.1 surround sound in headsets natively on the Switch. This is fantastic for anyone who's playing Elden Ring, any kind of shooter, fighter. Like, it's going to be great. This is a really good upgrade. Stereo speakers is fine. Microphone, monaural. I don't know. I don't like integrated microphones in devices. I don't think they work that well. I will need to get this hands-on to be able to fully vet and understand, like, oh, does it pick up background noise? How well does it have noise cancellation? I can't really trust the video to show me how well this thing is going to work without actually trying it in an environment that needs that to work. Buttons, standard. USB-C. I think I'm going to speak for a lot of us. I'm real happy that there's a second USB-C on the top, specifically for when you need to use it to charge while in the stand position. How hard was it to understand? How bad did it feel that, like, oh, I got 10% left, but we're finishing this Smash match, and it's going on a little long, but I can't charge it because the port's underneath. Thank you for throwing it on top so we can have unfettered, unlimited access to power to keep this thing going. When we're out and about, when we're in tournaments, I know this is going to be huge for PAX next year. It sucks that it's not available to see people have it this year, because PAX is a month away. Very happy. But I love seeing all these people with Switches in the Switch Lounge, in the handheld tournament section. This is huge, having this kind of native capability without a secondary dock. I'm all for it. Audio jack, 3.5 millimeter, 4 contact stereo mini plug. Awesome. Can't say anything better than that. Game card slot. Are the Switch 2 cartridges thicker, or are they just the same size with a red coloring for the cartridge? Again, another thing I need to get hands-on before we can really talk about. The micro SD card slot. So they said we can't use the current system of micro SD cards that are compatible for the Switch, and we need an express style for the Switch 2. I understand that they want it specifically for loading times, for writing times, for anything that needs to be read and written from the card. But why? The regular micro SD cards are fast enough. A good chunk of them are 10 times the read and write speeds of the ones from 15, 20 years ago. And this has been kind of a standard for a long time. I've known a lot of SLR camera users that are phenomenal professional photographers that use these kinds of cards, and it doesn't slow them down. So why does Nintendo forcing us to go, I hate to say it this way, a Sony handheld route and getting a specific dedicated style micro SD card? With Sony, we had our own. I don't have any sitting out here right in front of me. Then they took that away and threw a micro card into the Vita. So we went from one to another with no chance of data transfer. Sensors, we knew that it was going to have an accelerometer, a gyroscope. The mouse sensor is real cool. This is going to be a game changer for Splatoon. Watching it in action for Metroid Prime 4, just makes me more excited for that game to come out. We're going to be getting things like Call of Duty. We already saw Fortnite. I'm going to say Overwatch and Marvel Rivals are going to be coming out for the Switch too. Having an active mouse is going to show everybody how much better you can be on a mouse and keyboard style than you can with a controller. So I am very, very excited for this. Operating environment, that's standard. You don't want to be in 100-degree heat because it's just going to cause so much more problems internally. 5200 milliamp battery, great. This will, I'm going to say within about 6 months, be upgradable. Third-party kit is going to be able to get you a new battery pack, and that's going to be a 10,000 or 15,000 milliamp battery to just extend your life out. But that's when you take stuff in your own hand. The battery life, they cannot give you a finite number between 2 and 6.5 hours because of how intense you're going to play. And I really do like how they said this, that it's a rough estimate. Quick little sidetrack. I bought my wife a laptop. The laptop came in S mode for Windows 10. Didn't realize Windows had made an S mode at some point to combat Chromebooks. But the reason I bought it for her was because it boasted a 6-hour battery, which is great for her for work. But as soon as I took that thing out of S mode, that gave me less than an hour and a half. The laptop became locked to a power cable. This isn't going to be the case with the Switch, but it is going to be the case with how intense and heat heavy the games are. If you're playing these in enhanced mode, giving you the 120 frames per second, this is going to burn out just as fast as a Sega Nomad with 8 batteries. Charging time, 3 hours, is not bad. That's going to be from dead to full, not 3 hours from 50 to 100. Train the battery well, drain it out, fully charge it, drain it while charging a little bit. That's going to give it a little bit of that 6.5 hour feel for you. The dock. The dock is bigger than the Switch 1 dock, which is okay. We don't really need to care about the footprint that this tiny dock is going to take on our entertainment centers. Less than a pound. So if you need to pick up both of them at the same time, it's going to be 2 pounds. 2 USB-C regular USB ports, the regular connector, the power adapter, HDMI port, and your LAN port. This is what I'm most excited about for this dock. Our Joy-Cons, really I don't have too much to say about them, but it does give us Bluetooth 3.0. The wireless functionality for communication between the Switch 2 screen and the Joy-Cons is 3.0. The right one is where you're going to be using your Amiibos. That's why it has the NFC sensor in it. I'm worried that 3.0 is what they left in again, but 3.0 will allow headsets to be used. Sensors, same 3, accelerometer, gyroscope, mouse sensor, because why wouldn't you want a mouse sensor to be able to use it as a mouse? HD Rumble 2, just another style of variation for Rumble. I loved when Sony used to use the little weighted pieces that would just shoot and give you that intense vibration, versus now it's just a pin on an actuator. Approximately 20 hours battery life, not bad. That's pretty good. Those things are going to last. You can charge that system way more than you're going to charge these. And more than likely, you're going to be having the Switch, the Joy-Cons docked onto the system. So you'll never be without battery for those. 3.5 hours, again, that's fully dead. Been dead. Let's get these things charged because I want to use them. Joy-Con straps, I do kind of like the design that they're going with, because this is going to give you that little bit of the raised edge for the mouse. The grip, it's the same damn thing, just has some magnets in it. So keep this thing away from cell phones and pacemakers. And that's basically it for what we're looking at for the initial hardware aspects, which overall, this is a great thing. It's a huge update and a huge upgrade from the Switch 1 with everything that we're able to fit in the same size, same thickness system. Normally, you'd be looking at something like what happened with PlayStation, the PS4 to the PS5. We had a nice, small, thin to a big towered box. Xbox One, the One and the S and X, the One, the Series S and the Series X. Those are two vastly different systems in footprint alone. But I love how Nintendo's sticking with everything they've already built on the Switch, just making it that little bit sweeter. Now we have a little bit more from what we saw from Nintendo today. What's new? Well, we already talked about. Mario Kart. Super Mario Kart World blew my mind. We're getting a Burnout Paradise style Mario Kart game. I know a lot of people comparing it to Horizon, but Forza Horizon, but I like Burnout. I think we're getting it's more Burnout-ish with. I'm hoping there are going to be drive challenges. I want these outfits to be unlockable by finding them. I don't want these things to be DLC. I know later on we're going to get DLC for more openable, like if you can make the world bigger or give us a separate island to travel to, great. That's more than likely what's going to be a DLC. Maybe a few new characters that we didn't get in this gigantic roster. Maybe a few new costumes that are exclusive to the DLC. But I want more explorables. You're giving us a world. How are we going to get that drive, pun intended, to explore what they're giving us, if not giving us stuff to find? Let us find tires, cars, costumes, characters. Give us a small roster at the start. Make me go to DK Mountain and find Donkey Kong. Or if you want to put Cranky Kong, Funky Kong, Dixie Kong, Diddy Kong, any of them in, let me find them. Let me find Wario and Waluigi. Let's go to Sahara Land and find Daisy. Give me the experience of wanting to explore. The reason people love Elden Ring, Bloodborne, all the Souls games, because they want to learn. They want the challenge of beating the bosses, finding your weapons and armor, unlocking new areas, and getting the lore. Give me something from this Mario Kart game. Just give that to me. Game chat, I don't know. We can do all of this on our phones to begin with. We don't necessarily need something directly on the screen to be like, oh, that's where you are in 5 FPS. Watching you just stutter on screen. I like that you're able to move that up so you don't have to look at everybody, but I do like the aspect of having everything built into the system and not needing my phone or a separate device to just be like, hey, I'm in game, where are you? Oh, I can see where you are. Let me get back to mine. The camera, I think the camera's unnecessary. We bypassed this technology a long time ago. This was E3 2013 all over again. But instead of somebody getting shot in the foot, some people are happy that Nintendo's bringing the Game Boy Eye back. Let's date myself with that. Does anybody else remember that? The camera that you got for the Game Boy Color and then the Game Boy printer so you could print out different things. I remember using it in Zelda. You could also print a diploma from Pokemon Red and Blue and Yellow. If you completed the Pokedex, it gave you the option to be like, hey, do you have a printer? Great! Let's print out your Pokemon diploma, which was about that big. It was still nice and funny to have. But it's the same design. Even though this kind of looks like it was designed by Razer. We saw this. We saw all these fun things. I'm loving the new stand for the Switch, too. Rather than the tiny little things my son's already broken 6 times. Thankfully, it's easy to repair. But this is way more robust. And it looks good. The magnetic snap. I like how this new game they're talking about, but it's just Astrobot that's not Astrobot, but it's going to make me pay money to learn how to use the system. I don't, unless it's like $2 or $5, I don't think many people are going to waste their money on it. C button. I wish it was more of the GameCube or the 64 style C button, but I get it. You gotta have an easy button to figure out how to get people into a chat room. The camera's nice. I do want to look at the specs on that at some point, but we'll dive deeper into some of the accessories on our next episode before I go deeper into the games and what we're going to be looking at for launch games, tertiary games, what we're seeing. But it is nice that we're getting a lot of these things. I mean, these are just buzzwords and sounds that are just going to be like, oh, this is what you can do, but not actually explain it in a technical aspect. But I get it. I'm a technical person. I've been building computers and fixing things like this for over 20 years. Nintendo's not going to give me the technical aspects unless they throw it on a tech sheet like we just went over. But they're going to give you the gist of everything that you can do. I like the game sharing thing. I like what they're working with. I like everything that's going on. Excuse me, as you can see, it's a little late. And I have to do these recordings after this time because I have personal things to do. But we have a nice new Pro Controller. We have some cool driving sticks. A couple accessories. I do like this carrying case they have showing here. That'll hold everything. Though I am curious about what this particular part is here. We saw it in some of the tech demo that we saw today, and I want to say it's an external battery pack, or it's a dock for, because we saw it used with somebody not using it looked like a Pro Controller with something extra on the back. Now, was that a prototype Pro Controller that they just threw in there and didn't think anyone would recognize or realize it? Or am I misinterpreting it and it's just the Joy-Con dock to make a controller? But I don't really think that. Because you have the two Joy-Cons here, and this would have a more predominant side profile. So let's go and do what I like to do and zoom in on it. So maybe it is. Maybe this is just the mock-up of the Joy-Con controller, because that's our Pro Controller down here. And there's nothing up here for power. So maybe it is just something quite basic. I did not want to do that. Regular zoom. Bloop. Pro Controller. C button for chat. Built-in amiibo functionality. Get the NFC built into it. More than likely, it's going to be in the right stick. $80. The price of a game. I mean, I get it, but make it 60. Make it 70. Make it slightly cheaper than the actual game. But let's dive more into these next time. I want to say thank you guys for joining me. I know I'm a little tired. Today's been a very busy day and a very excitable day, especially since we got this morning. We've been having more trickle-down updates coming from multiple sources that need to be vetted and double-checked. I got personal verification from Best Buy that April 9th is when they're going to be doing pre-orders. It sounds like GameStop is following suit on that as well. The information that I just got from Kevin is GameStop and Best Buy pre-orders go live on April 9th at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. GameStop will also be doing pre-orders in stores when they open. Most GameStops in my area open at 10 o'clock. Even when I worked for them back in 2013, 10 o'clock is the opening for most GameStops. 10 o'clock is the opening for most Best Buys. I don't know if Best Buy is going to be doing in-store pre-ordering. I'm pretty sure this is going to be a in-store pickup. For the most part, it's going to be pickup only. I'm excited about that because Best Buy is doing a midnight release, which I haven't been to a midnight release in well over 10 years. The last one, it was because I was working there at GameStop. It was a Call of Duty event, and we had Texas Roadhouse cater. So we had those delicious buns that they have with the honey butter. If you've never been to a Texas Roadhouse on the East Coast, it's a mediocre steakhouse, but they have some damn good buns. And the same thing with Red Lobster. You don't go there for the food, you go there for the cheddar biscuits. Or you go to the supermarket because now they sell them because nobody wants to go to Red Lobster anyway. But we have the basis of information. And I really want to stress that more than I can. Next Wednesday, April 9th, is our pre-order date. Keep asking me. Watch my video that I put out yesterday. There are methods on how you can get a better chance against the bots, because this is going to be our next war of attrition. It is going to be us, the gamers, against the bots. Scalpers, anybody who wants to do that just to try to jack up a price for somebody to have fun with. That's my firmest standpoint, is I think those people need to stop what they're doing and reevaluate their lives. The people who tried to sell a PS5 for $1,000 need to understand that that's not a good thing. You cause chaos, you cause unnecessary drama. The people who sold systems for the same price, but they were just empty boxes, you're scumbags. I remember somebody doing that with a PS3 at Best Buy, where they loaded it up with some old Nintendo powers and some strategy guides with the same weight of a PS3 and returned the box. And the person at the counter didn't bother to check the box. They ended up just giving that person back $600 and a free PS3. Don't do these things. These are not good. And with the rising cost of things, it borderlines on actual jail time. So keep in mind, be safe. Let's work together so that we can get these systems for ourselves, our families, and out of hands of the scalpers. So remember, April 9th, 12 p.m. I was going to say 11. I'm going to be ready at 11. I'm going to have Best Buy's website open on 3 different computers and 2 phones because I'm going to get one of these. Join our Discord. Our links are below. Join our Patreon. We do some awesome shows and get involved with our community a little bit deeper in the Patreon. You'll be able to listen to episodes like a day or two earlier. It's also really cool. Throw us $1 or $2. You get some cool stuff. You get to do polls on what we do as well. Maybe we'll start a poll on if you want to watch me play a game. You get to pick a game that I play, and I'll play it down here for a couple hours. Kind of like how we did with Extra Life and Kevin, forcing him to play Bloodborne some more. You want to watch me play a game? Watch me play a game. I want to thank the Nintendo Dojo. I want to thank all of Save the Game Media. And I want to most of all thank you guys. If you're not part of our group, come join us. We don't bite. We just like to have fun. And I like to be informative and help out where I can. And I just want everybody to have a good time. All right, Dojo. We're out.